Hi, it's Sandy Wyllie. Welcome to my mental health channel, where I wipe away the stigma of mental illness by talking about my own personal struggles, having borderline personality disorder, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety and panic attacks, depression. I talk about narcissism and my narcissistic mother. I talk about schizophrenia, and I wrote a book, Life with My Schizophrenic Father, right here on the left of me. And the link to that book and all my other books are down below in the description. They're all available on Amazon. I talk about my unethical psychologist that sexually abused me and a plethora of other mental health related topics. But I only come on as a former patient of almost 20 years. I am not a licensed therapist. I do not hold a degree in psychology. All I ask in turn of you is please be kind and respectful in the comments. Be kind to me, be kind to other people who comment. We don't need to agree on everything, but we do need to always show each other respect and kindness. Now, if you are new to my channel, welcome, welcome. Hit that subscribe button on the lower right hand corner. That way you will be notified each and every time a video of mine comes out. And give it a thumbs up, like it, share it with your friends, family on your social media platform. Spread the love around. I really want to hear from you, please. I love to hear your thoughts, your opinions, your own personal struggles. I'm always anxious and excited when someone comments, and I do comment back to them. Today, I'm going to talk about how the psychologist who sexually abused me turned me into an alcoholic. Now, I think I was sexually abused by these psychologists because I was so lonely that I went for help. I had a lot of problems, as I talked about in other videos. So I don't want to rehash that all in this video. But have you ever been so lonely that, no one really listens to you? No one seems to care about you. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever felt like everyone else is tied up in their own things? Um, they're tied up in their own lives, in their own shit, that they just have no time left for you. The only time you hear from someone is on your social media platform, on your Facebook. That's how you find out about your so-called friends, what they're doing, what their lives are, what is from Facebook. When is the last time someone actually picked up the phone and said, "Hi, how are you doing? How are you feeling?" When is the last time you actually went out in person? When is the last time someone actually spent time with you, listening to you? People are always so rushing around, doing all these crazy things that they never take the time. And I think that's what attracted me when I went first to Dr. Richard Geis, is that, he saw me 5 hours a week for free. He listened to me. He let me call him in the middle of the night. He invited me to his home in Maine. Um, he seemed to be like, wow, like, when does anyone spend 5 hours a week listening to you for nothing, for free? Okay. Letting me sit in his lap, coddling me, reading to me, letting me in his home. Just, we talked on the phone. Uh, he emailed me all the time. I never had that much attention in my life. It was mind blowing. And then I told you about the sex trafficking video where I was involved with Dr. James Barberia, and Dr. Richard Geis encouraged me to have sex with him. Now, that was another thing. I had all his attention too. And I had, so I was like, for the first time in my life, I was having all this attention and people really caring about me. I never got that from girlfriends. They were all wrapped up in themselves. I was the one always listening to them. But so with Dr. James Barberia, Jim, Okay, let's call him Jim, because that's what I called him, and he called me Sandra. Once we started having sex, this is how I turned into an alcoholic. He would want to get up from just having sex, get dressed, and go to the bar. Now, I can count the number of men I've had sex with in one hand, or been sexual with even. I've only had intercourse with 3 men. I've been sexual maybe with a couple more, And I just didn't understand like this because, first of all, you know, I don't know why he wanted to get up and get dressed so fast because he had a knockout body. Now, one thing, if your body isn't that great, you might be embarrassed, after you have sex, you might want to cover up, or but this guy looked like a model, okay? He had rippling biceps. He had a 6-pack. I mean, he was lean. He could have been a male model. He had dark black jet hair, big doe, like doe eyes, like a deer, long lashes, a black beard, and like he was very lean. He was like, he was 5'9" and he weighed 145 pounds, but he was lean and fit and muscular and ripping. He exercised in his attic. He had a weight room with it looked like a gym in there, a treadmill, tons of weights, a bench, a workout bench, all the expensive stereo equipment, and he worked out rigorously every day, and he did yoga too. And so I couldn't understand, why he would want to get up and get dressed immediately. I'm talking immediately. Let's go to the bar. Let's go to the bar. I go, why? I didn't want to go to the bar. This is before I turned into an alcoholic, okay? He shouldn't have been having sex with me to begin with. But as soon as we had sex, we had to rush off and get dressed and go to the bar, and would have to have martinis. Martinis are very strong drinks. You can make it with gin or vodka, but it would always be vodka. And it would always be a dirty martini. And he'd always want to have extra olives with it, like having a free appetizer with it, because they come with olives. So he'd say, I want extra olives. So we get dirty martinis, and, we do this in the middle of the afternoon. It didn't matter what time of day it was. Like I told him, I have to go see my handicapped son. We're taking him home for dinner. I wasn't driving. My husband was driving, but, I didn't want to be like sloshed when I'm picking my son up. And, it didn't matter to him. I told him that it's just like, get dressed. We're going out to the bar, Costello's in Jamaica Plain, which was, we could walk from his house to Costello's in and maybe about 5 minutes. 5-minute walk, because he was in Jamaica Plain near 10 Tables. Anyone know 10 Tables? He was right in there near CVS, the yoga studio, Cafe Nero. There was a fire station there. So we'd get up, get dressed, go and start drinking dirty martinis in the middle of the afternoon. At night, in the evening, on Saturdays, he picked me up in his little black convertible sports car. I can't believe this. This guy was so narcissistic, unreal. He got a little scratch on his sports car, a hairline scratch. When I mean a hairline scratch, I mean a hairline scratch. He got it repainted for $10,000. 10 grand because he got a scratch. So he had a lot of but he would pick me up, all right, and he'd always pick me up in a very bad mood and take me out to a restaurant of his choice, of course. And he never picked cheap places. He would pick the restaurant. I never heard of these restaurants. the Elephant Walk. That was one of them. You ever hear of that? I never been in there. Cambodian food. He'd pick restaurants that, like, uh, I can't. It was many, many years ago, so I'm trying to recall the names of them. I'm sure you don't care anyway. And then he would order the drinks, and of course I would drink, and I'd get a second drink, and he would get a second drink. So I already had two drinks, and he would never finish his second drink. He said, "You have it." So then I'd be having three stiff drinks because he'd order the second drink. I'd ask him, "Why did you order the drink if you're not going to drink it?" "Oh, well, it's a Saturday night. Live high, live, but you're not drinking it. So I see it sitting there, and I'm like that with food. Are you like that? If someone doesn't eat something and they go, "Oh, I'm too full. Do you want to have this?" I'm not just like that with booze, okay? I mean, if I don't like to see something sitting around. I don't know. I grew up very poor, so when someone leaves food on their plate, I eat it, unless I hate it, unless it's liver. No one's going to eat liver, right? But yeah, so he orders a drink, a second drink. I already had two. We usually only had a couple, but then I end up drinking his drink. And so between the drinks after sex, going to the bars, and taking me out and drinking his drink that he never touched his second one, but he'd make sure to always order two drinks, but only drink one of them. And that's how slowly over time it grew. I turned into an alcoholic at 50. Never had a drinking problem before in my life. But as I was getting back to, I think I took all this abuse is because, not that I was hard up for sex. I don't think people have fears because of sex. I think people have fears because they're lonely. I think loneliness is the number one killer in this world. Okay? I mean, I'm 59 and a half, and I have no friends. Now, Google that on YouTube, all right? And you will find millions of people saying, "I'm 25 and I have no friends. I'm 40 and I have no friends." They're men, they're women, they're teenagers, they're middle-aged people. Do you know how many videos are on YouTube of people sitting here, ordinary people like you and me, and saying, "I'm such and such an age and I have no friends"? Google it. Just Google it, and you will find out that this is very, very common. And, just being so, back then I did have friends though, when I was being sexually abused from these psychologists. I did have friends, but it was a one-sided friendship, I was there for them and they were never there for me. It was totally one-sided. If I ever called them, because I needed, someone to listen to me, they would say, "My soap opera's on." Can you believe it? Really? "Oh dear, you can't miss your soap opera. The world will end." So, I mean, I was so lonely, and, like I said before in other videos, a psychologist's job, that their role, like an actor, is to listen. And so, that's how it gets started. That's how affairs get started too. It doesn't have to be your psychologist. It could be a coworker, right? You spend a lot of time at work with this person, and this person listens to you, and you don't get that at home. um, Someone really listening to you. I think a lot of us eat that up because we just don't have that in our lives. I know I don't. So that's how I turned into an alcoholic. And it just got worse and worse. I mean, we started drinking. You know what he would do? Okay, so get this now. I didn't even mention this. I forgot about this. It just came in my head. So after I would have two drinks and finish his second drink, so I had three drinks. After dinner, we'd go home to his million condo, go upstairs in his bed, all right? Of course, we'd have sex. He'd put a movie on. I don't know what movie. He liked all different movies. Of course, like with the restaurant, he would pick the movie and put it on. Then he would pour Anisette. Does anyone know Anisette? I never had Anisette in my life before Dr. James Barberi, before Jim. Anisette is a liqueur. Is it an Italian liqueur? It's white, okay? It has a very distinct taste, okay? It's white, it's clear. Anisette liqueur. It tastes like anisette. You know the spice anisette? I never had it before, but after we had all these drinks, I had 3 because I had his second drink. He only drank 1 at the restaurant. He would go and pour a glass of anisette and keep it by the bed. And in between fucking me and watching a movie, all right, he used to like to watch, let's see, we saw Seabiscuit, Ordinary People, Basquiat, uh, about the famous artist Basquiat. Uh, we would do that. Malcolm X, we saw that movie. In between sex movies, we'd drink that anisette. It'd be right there. He'd take a sip, give it to me, put it back on the nightstand, go back to fucking, watching movies. He'd take another sip, and mind you, and then he probably took like a teaspoon. I don't know. When I drink something, like when I eat, I take large volumes in my mouth, just like when I have sex. Gotcha! You gotta put some humor into it. But anyway, so see, all these little things added up, all these little things added up, and that's how I got addicted to alcohol. I think it stemmed from my sheer loneliness. I really do. And those are things that you have to watch out for. Watch out who you're going with, because it doesn't have to be a psychologist, right? It could be your boyfriend. It could be someone that is, developing bad habits. You are developing bad habits in that relationship. That's what you have to watch out for. What is this person introducing me? Have you ever had anyone introduce you to something, alcohol, drugs? A lot of people say about Bobby, all right, Bobby Brown. He introduced Whitney Houston to heavy drugs, and that's how she ended up, becoming a drug addict because of him. A lot of people say that, a lot of people get hooked on these things through their relationships with other people. They get into very bad habits. That's what you have to watch out for. Who you get involved with, don't let them get you into bad habits. If you see something like that, it's best just to, stay away from those type of people. They'll just lead you down the wrong road, lead you down the wrong path, lead you into your own destruction. These people, if you're not careful, they'll just lead you into your own destruction. So just be careful, be very cautious, especially when you're very lonely like I was, because it's very easy to get, into that kind of trap when you're terribly lonely. And then you just, before you know it, I have a full-blown alcohol, addiction. Still fighting it every single day. All right, let me know your thoughts, your opinions, and your feelings on this subject. And if you want me to talk about something else, I'm willing to do that. I really want to hear from you. So until next time, take care. Bye-bye.